Good evening, I'm Matt Woodman. This is CTV News at 5. Tonight, Council's choices, the options available to city councillors regarding a special downtown tax program. Exceeding expectations, Alberta's budget surplus, billions of dollars more than predicted. And loud and proud, why national pride in our country is soaring ahead of Canada Day.
CTV Edmonton, local breaking news with Matt Woodman.
Breaking news, an Alberta court has granted an injunction preventing the province from banning gender-affirming care. Bill 26 prohibits sex reassignment surgery for minors and restricts access to gender-affirming hormone therapy for people under the age of 16. The bill passed back in December. It said the policies would support transgendered minors so they could make potentially life-altering decisions as adults. At least two LGBTQ2S+ groups filed a legal challenge. The Court of King's Bench has concluded Bill 26 would cause irreparable harm to gender-diverse young people in Alberta. It added, barring medical care for gender-diverse young people would, quote, reinforce the discrimination that they are already subjected to.
To the extent that this was a good faith attempt to regulate healthcare, which I'm not sure that I accept, but to the extent it was, we now have confirmation from a court that it was ill-advised, and I think that the government should take that very seriously.
CTV News has reached out to the province for reaction. We are awaiting a response. A decision on a special tax program downtown is now in the hands of City Council. The levy would see a new event park built in Ice District with financial help from the city. Some say it's the best way to improve conditions in the core for the future. Others call it corporate welfare. CTV's Jeremy Thompson has the latest.
It took until about 7 o'clock Thursday night, but the Oilers Entertainment Group did get its chance to speak to council on the special tax program downtown. It would see a $250 million event park built beside Rogers Place with a $70 million contribution from the city.
A successful partnership is not one side gets what they want at the expense of the other.
Tim Shipton says the medium-scale concert venue and event space would benefit all of Edmonton. So would the housing north of the arena. Site prep for those homes is included in the community revitalization levy.
We really view the projects working together.
I don't know if that an event park is sort of from at least people in my ward, that's not sort of the amenities that they're looking for when they're looking to buy a house.
The provincial government has final say over the CRL. It is pledging $100 million for the projects on Oilers-owned land, plus another $55 million to demolish the Coliseum. Municipal Affairs Minister Dan Williams says without those projects, the deal is off.
In my mind, this is a reasonable deal. Our downtown needs help.
The downtown levy includes public projects too, parks, beautification, and other infrastructure intended to encourage private investment in the core.
If the tax base in downtown can grow, that means less pressure on the rest of the city.
At a two-day public hearing, dozens of Edmontonians told council they don't want to subsidize the Oilers. Southside councillor Joanne Wright says that's just a fraction of what she's hearing.
And I've been going outdoor knocking, specifically asking people about this and getting a lot of hesitation. Some flat out, the majority actually flat out say no.
Some councillors think the event park decision is too important to rush.
I've heard from so many residents who are saying that, who are feeling like they don't have a say. The election is the opportunity to have that say. And I think it's...
And the public hearing is still underway at this hour. CTV's Jeremy Thompson is at City Hall with the very latest. So, Jeremy, what are the options in front of council right now?
Well, Matt, the way city staff explained it, council basically has two options. Either accept the deal that includes public money for the event park or walk away and find some other way or some other mechanism to boost downtown. And just before the dinner break, and I came out here to do this report, council was seeking to get some clarity on how it could delay this decision and what the possible impacts of that delay would be.
All right, Jeremy Thompson live at City Hall tonight. Thank you. Edmontonians are gearing up for a lengthy discussion around infill rules at City Hall on Monday. Council will consider reducing the number of dwellings allowed on an interior lot in small-scale residential zones to 6 from 8. They'll also discuss reducing the maximum building length for mid-block row housing. The proposed amendments were brought forward by City Councillor Michael Jans. He's heard concerns about negative impacts to communities, such as reduced privacy, parking, and out-of-place developments.
I do think that communities need to support the proposed amendments that have been made and then really advocate for further engagement and further improvements, because what's getting built isn't what anybody envisioned.
Earlier this week, mayoral candidate and councillor Tim Cartmell said he plans to move a motion Monday to implement a moratorium on mid-block infill development. 2 men have pleaded guilty in connection to the death of an Edmonton girl 2 years ago. A publication ban prevents CTV from naming the victim or any of the people charged in the case. According to an agreed statement of facts, the girl was living in an Edmonton apartment in 2023. She suffered a deadly head injury in mid-April. Nearly a week later, her remains were found in a truck in Musquecheese. Today, 2 men pleaded guilty to indignity to a body. They each were sentenced to 2 years and 9 months. With credit for time served, both men have served their sentences. Another man charged in the case will be in court next month. A woman charged with first-degree murder and indignity to a body is still before the courts. The Edmonton Police Service's major collisions team is now leading an investigation into a train that hit a pedestrian. This happened yesterday just before 6 o'clock in the morning at 51st Avenue between 99th Street and Gateway Boulevard. Police say the pedestrian was a woman. They say she was taken to hospital and is still there in critical condition. Alberta is reporting an $8.3 billion surplus for last year's provincial budget. While it's well above estimates, the provincial government is still projecting future deficits. Alberta's total revenue reached $82.5 billion in 2024-25. That's nearly $9 billion more than originally believed. Much of that came from the oil patch, where bitumen production soared and global prices held steady. On the spending side, costs hit $74 billion, driven by healthcare, education, and disaster response after a busy wildfire season and ongoing drought. Uncertainty still looms thanks to policies in the United States.
This uncertainty is something that until it truly goes away, investors are not going to invest. We're not going to create, more jobs and be all that we can be with this hanging over our heads. So I don't really have a specific response. I hope they can do their deals in good faith.
The finance minister also warns global oil market volatility and other factors mean financial caution is still needed. More trade uncertainty today. The U.S. president says trade talks with Canada are over and new tariffs are coming within a week. Donald Trump blames Canada's digital sales tax, which it imposes on American internet giants.
Economically, we have such power over Canada. I'd rather not use it, but they did something with our tech companies today trying to copy Europe. They copied Europe. It's not going to work out well for Europe either. And it's not going to work out well for Canada.
The feds brought in the tax on tech companies a year ago. The first payment from Google, Meta, and other companies is due at the end of the month. Trump says he's immediately terminating trade talks with Canada and will let Ottawa know what kind of tariff will be imposed in the next week. The Edmonton International Jazz Festival wraps up this weekend. Nearly 30 acts have hit the stage at 9 different venues since kicking off last Saturday. It also includes local jazz bands. Organizers say they're gearing up for a big weekend to close out the festival. He says a 9-day festival is a lot of work, but it's worth it for all that jazz.
So many awesome venues in this town to feature these kinds of bands. They usually audiences don't get a chance to do it all at once, night after night. And so, yeah, it's a massive undertaking, but we get to see all of these people that we usually wouldn't get to experience.
This is the Edmonton Jazz Festival's 20th year. It wraps up on Sunday. Well, Well, Josh, you might be hearing a little bit of rumbles out there. If you're hearing some jazz music in Edmonton this evening, we could see some thunderstorms.
Yeah, we're already in a couple of neighborhoods seeing a few cells pop up. We'll show you that on the radar map in a second. 23 degrees now, downtown Edmonton. That's down 2 degrees from our daytime high earlier today. It's a little bit of thicker cloud cover has rolled in over top of that Blatchford station, and chance of some showers. The low was not 1,212. The low was 12 this morning, right on par with average. 25 for a daytime high this afternoon. That's 2 degrees above average for a daytime high. There's your little shower that popped up over downtown. It's now over, looks like just south of the Yellowhead there. Getting set to push through eastern parts of the city. You had a little shower cell here as well that looks like a little earlier in the southwest. May have even produced not just some heavy rain, but perhaps some small hail. Most of the activity has been off to the southeast. You get some thunderstorms here, possibly producing some pea-sized hail off to the southeast of the city. And then a couple of really active storm cells further to the southeast and in through east central Alberta. And so severe thunderstorm watches in effect for the east central part of the province. No warnings as of right now. We had some warnings earlier in the day, but those storms have since weakened. We're in outside of those two little cells there, we're in a bit of a dry spot. So most of the city right now still just looking at partly cloudy skies. And that'll be the case for the next few hours. But eventually some of this rain will slide through. And so overnight tonight, you get a chance of some steadier showers or light rain. That'll continue through tomorrow morning. Should break down midday or early afternoon. Then we'll get some sunny breaks and a high of 21. Breezy, though, wind gusting to about 30 kilometers per hour. Sunnier and warmer for Sunday, Monday. Closer look at that with the 5 and 10-day forecast in a couple minutes.
All right, Josh, thanks very much. Coming up next on CTV News, a fistful of dollars. The Oilers sign one of their tough guys to an 8-year deal.
I just think this group here gives me the best chance at winning the ultimate prize.
Programming brought to you by Federated Co-ops. Find your summer sweepstakes. Unlock your chances to win at your local co-op. Brought to you by K-Days. The 10 best days of summer are back.
You're watching CTV News at 5.
Oilers forward Trent Frederick is staying in Edmonton for 8 more seasons.
I just think this group here gives me the best chance at winning the ultimate prize, and ultimately, hopefully, you should get 8 chances at it.
Frederick's new contract will pay him more than $3.8 million a season. Frederick was acquired by the Oilers just before the playoffs in a trade involving the Boston Bruins and New Jersey Devils. He had 1 goal and 3 assists in 22 playoff games. Hockey analyst Tom Gazzola says Frederick is a good, strong, physical player who can score. The deal gives Frederick a lot of security.
8 years is a long time. It really is. A no movement clause seems a bit silly, and that is something that has come up in regard to the discussion around Trent Frederick. A no movement clause means he has to stay on the NHL roster. They can't send him down.
First round of the NHL entry draft begins tonight. The Oilers will get their first pick in the 3rd round tomorrow.
McDavid, beautiful move, in on it. That's not a statement. That's a millennium type of goal.
Speaking of the entry draft, it's been 10 years now since Connor McDavid was drafted by the Edmonton Oilers. His awards, accomplishments, and accolades have been piling up ever since. Tonight on CTV News at 6, we'll continue looking back at some of McDavid's biggest moments on and off the ice since joining the Oilers. The Brick Invitational Hockey Tournament is returning to Edmonton. Team Brick Alberta players were presented with their jerseys this morning at the Glendale Golf and Country Club. The presentation included a speech from former Oilers captain Kelly Buchberger. The Brick Tournament showcases young hockey players from across North America. Many of them will advance to play in junior, college, and professional hockey leagues.
About 82% of the kids that have gone through the Brick have gone on to play Alberta Junior League or college, university, American Hockey League, NHL. So it's a pretty good statistic.
The tournament takes place in the Ice Palace at West Edmonton Mall and runs June 30th to July 6th. A warm and sunny day out there in Edmonton. That could change tonight, though, and we may have a wet start to the weekend. Josh has all the details and your full forecast next.
Programming brought to you by James H. Brown Injury Lawyers, the heavy hitters of injury law.
Parks Canada says while work continues in Jasper to rebuild from last year's devastating wildfire, key sites will need to stay closed. This video provided by Parks Canada in December shows the damage to Maline Canyon. It will remain closed along with Cavill Road and the Valley of the Five Lakes trails. Day use areas are also still off limits. Parks Canada says it's still working to make those areas safe. It's rebuilding roads, fixing slopes, and removing hazardous trees. Josh,
glad you pointed out that video was from December.
December, yeah. It wasn't obvious, was it? Not with the weather we've been having. No, I'm kidding. It finally warmed up. But a lot of people heading out for the long weekend now, Josh. I've been hearing the roads are pretty busy out there, and a lot of people going to be hoping for some nice weather, I bet.
Yeah, it's not going to start out all that nice across most of the province, but Sunday, Monday, Tuesday do look a whole lot warmer and drier across most of the province. It's 25 degrees once again in downtown Edmonton as you look through the Action Furnace River Valley Skycam. Action Furnace, fixed rider, it's free. Partly cloudy skies over most of the city, although, as we were showing you a few moments ago, we do have some isolated shower now. Some thunderstorm cells as well in parts of the city. 25 in Fort McMurray and Cold Lake, 20 in Grand Prairie, and 17 in Red Deer, where you've had some thunderstorms roll through with some pea-sized hail and some fairly intense lightning. Most of the activity, as we said, has been centered here in east central Alberta. You do have a severe thunderstorm watch for the extreme northeast corner of the province, but this is where most of the storms that we were keeping an eye on have developed. You can see there's one there off to the southeast of Edmonton. There's a fairly strong one just east of Red Deer, and then these ones earlier in the day were attached to some severe thunderstorm warnings. They're now hugging the Saskatchewan border. It looks like they're starting to weaken slightly. So around Hay Lakes, you do have some intense thunderstorms. It looks like that probably has some hail off of it. This one here may have a little pea-sized hail as well, and we are getting some rumbles of thunder there and some flashes of lightning. Off to the southwest of the city, between Devon and the southwest corner of the city, you have another little storm cell. That'll probably start to produce lightning here in the next little bit. They're not really moving all that much. They're just sort of slowly inching their way off to the east. And so if you're underneath one of those rain cores, you're probably getting poured on. You drive 6 blocks over and you're out of the rain core and you got nothing. So isolated showers and thunderstorms, and we may see a few more of these pop up here over the next little while. I know it looks pretty dry here off to the southwest, and so most of the city will miss out on this activity, but there'll be a couple more neighborhoods that get hit with some pop-up showers or thunderstorms before the evening is done. And then the bulk of the rain starts to slide in from the west-southwest for overnight tonight. And that looks more like steadier showers or periods of light rain overnight and through at least the morning hours, possibly the entire first half of the day. Kind of breaks down, it looks like, through the afternoon. Still some showers off to the northeast, some showers and thunderstorms from Red Deer off to the south and southeast to the Red Deer region, and scattered thunderstorms in the north. But I think in Edmonton and surrounding areas, you're probably just looking at some sunny breaks and breezy conditions tomorrow afternoon. There's your sunshine for Sunday across, as we said, most of the province. Fort McMurray back across into the high-level region, and a slight chance of some late-day showers or thunderstorms. Temperatures tomorrow morning in the 10 to 15-degree range across most of the province. You'll get into the mid-20s in Fort McMurray tomorrow. Closer to 20 for daytime highs, though, in Vegreville and Cold Lake. Low 20s, Grand Prairie, Peace River should be right around 20 degrees, and Red Deer and Jasper, and about 18 or 19 with some showers or periods of rain in east central Alberta. Here in the city, rain to start the day tomorrow. Gusty, 15, gusting 30, and then some sunny breaks and a high of about 21 tomorrow afternoon. 24 and 25 with sunshine Sunday. Monday, 27 for Canada Day with the risk of an evening thunderstorm.
All right, Josh, thank you. Time magazine has listed Edmonton-based company Stantec among the world's most sustainable companies. Stantec ranked 44th on the list. It's the best showing for a Canadian company this year. Time partnered with a statistics company to rank the top 500 sustainable companies based on public commitment and progress. Stantec has been part of major projects like the Southeast Henday, Stantec Tower, the Keystone Pipeline, and an expansion of the Panama Canal. A program that recognizes well-manicured front yards is getting an assist from the Edmonton Oilers Community Foundation. The foundation is helping the Edmonton Horticulture Society fund the Neighborhood in Bloom program. It was formerly known as Front Yards in Bloom until earlier this year when the city cut the program due to budget concerns. The Horticulture Society agreed to take it over last month. At the time, it said its budget had been set before the program was canceled and put out a call for sponsorships. When we return, proud patriots, why stats show more Canadians are feeling a sense of national pride.
There's been somewhat of a surge of nationalism and a surge of pride.
Programming brought to you by James H. Brown Injury Lawyers, the heavy hitters of injury law.
Still to come on CTV News at 6, the latest on the turfing of trade talks between Canada and the United States. Also ahead, why the provincial government says a big budget surplus doesn't provide much relief. And meet the Shania Twain fans hoping to catch her attention when she performs at the Calgary Stampede. Those stories and much more on CTV News at 6 with Jeff Hastings. Edmonton's Brass Tactics is just one of the bands you can see at upcoming Edmonton Green Shack shows. Throughout July and August, the Green Shacks will be home to free concerts and performances 5 days a week. Green Shacks provide free drop-in programs for kids ages 6 to 12. There are dozens in neighborhoods throughout the city. The performances will be put on in partnership with the Edmonton Arts Council. You can find Green Shack location information at edmonton.ca. Canadians report feeling more proud to be Canadian than they have been in years. That's the finding of a recent survey by the Angus Reid Institute. CTV's Merrick DeCash spoke with a local organization trying to raise the bar when it comes to waving the flag.
A Canadian flag stands in front of almost every house on Lynx Close in St. Albert, thanks to the local Rotary Club.
We've got flags in every neighborhood. On almost every street, and if we don't have one on your street, you can go to stalbertrotaryclub.com and sign up for a flag.
For $63 a year, the club drops off a Canadian flag for the weeks of Victoria Day, Canada Day, and Labor Day. More than 600 people participate in the program, which started around 15 years ago. Membership is higher than it's been for years.
It's been brought on because of what has been going on internationally. You know, people want to support their country. I do, for sure.
When you see what's happening in the rest of the world, and you look, the kind of life that we live here and everything else, there's no life better than ours.
Brad St. Pierre doesn't participate in the flag campaign simply because he already has a flag hanging above his garage.
I plan on keeping it up every year, all year. When it starts to fray, I go buy another one, put it up again.
A new survey published by the Angus Reid Institute found that 82% of Canadians are very, somewhat, or just plain proud of being Canadian, a number that drops to 70% in Alberta. One of the research associates involved says national pride has jumped drastically since December, up 11%.
In the wake of Donald Trump's threatening of the 51st state, there's been somewhat of a surge of nationalism and a surge of pride. So we've found that it's somewhat bounced back to the point where now more Canadians are saying they're proud to live in Canada.
A sentiment celebrated on select streets in St. Albert.
There's great patriotism out there right now, which really makes people want to have that flag on their lawn, and we're just so appreciative for the community support.
Merrick DeCash, CTV News, Edmonton.
That's our show. Thanks for watching. CTV News continues right now.